There is a question that almost nobody asks in the right way. And because it is not asked correctly, millions spend their entire lives searching for an answer that can never satisfy them. They ask, how can I become more conscious? But hidden inside the question is already a misunderstanding. Because the mind imagines consciousness as something that must be acquired, achieved, earned, accumulated, purchased, as if awareness were another object in the marketplace of ambition, another trophy for the ego to place beside success, knowledge, status, spirituality, and all the other decorations with which humanity attempts to convince itself that it has finally arrived somewhere meaningful. And beloved ones, this misunderstanding is subtle because it appears spiritual while remaining deeply unconscious. The mind immediately turns consciousness into a goal. It says, tell me what to do, tell me the technique, tell me the method, tell me the secret, tell me the steps. And yet, the very consciousness you seek is already present in the one asking the question. The seeker is searching for the eyes through which he is already looking. The fish is searching for the ocean while swimming inside it. The dreamer is searching for awakening while already carrying the possibility of awakening within every breath. Therefore, before we ask how consciousness increases, we must first understand what consciousness actually is. Because otherwise, the search itself becomes another distraction, another sophisticated form of unconsciousness, disguised as spiritual effort. Beloved ones, consciousness is not something added to you. It is what remains when everything begins falling away. It is not an achievement, it is a remembrance. It is not a destination, it is your original nature. And this is why increasing consciousness is very different from increasing knowledge. Knowledge accumulates, consciousness reveals. Knowledge fills the mind, consciousness empties it. Knowledge gives more information, consciousness gives more seeing. Humanity has become obsessed with collecting information because information creates the illusion of progress. People can discuss enlightenment without being enlightened. They can quote scriptures without understanding themselves. They can speak about awareness while remaining trapped inside unconscious habits. They can become experts in spirituality while remaining strangers to their own being. This is one of the greatest paradoxes of human existence. The mind can know everything about truth while never experiencing truth directly. Consciousness begins only when direct seeing becomes more important than second-hand knowledge. It begins when you become interested not in what others have said about reality, but in what you can discover through your own awareness. Have you noticed, beloved ones, how rarely people are actually present? Their bodies adjust in one place, while their minds wander somewhere else entirely. They are eating while thinking about tomorrow, walking while replaying yesterday, listening while preparing their next response, looking without seeing, hearing without listening, living without truly being alive. Humanity exists in a constant state of psychological sleep. And because everyone around them is sleeping too, this sleep appears normal. A person worries for 20 years and calls it responsibility. Another spends decades comparing himself with others and calls it ambition. Another remains trapped in resentment and calls it justice. Another remains imprisoned by fear and calls it caution. The names change, but the unconsciousness remains the same. Consciousness increases the moment you begin seeing these patterns, instead of automatically obeying them. Awareness begins whenever observation replaces identification. The unconscious person becomes whatever passes through his mind. The conscious person watches what passes through his mind. This is why the first step toward greater consciousness is not changing yourself, but observing yourself. This sounds simple, almost too simple. And because it sounds simple, many people overlook its tremendous power. Humanity loves complicated solutions, because complicated solutions make the ego feel important. But truth is often astonishingly simple. Begin watching. Watch your thoughts without trying to stop them. Watch your emotions without trying to fix them. Watch your reactions without trying to justify them. Watch your fears without trying to escape them. Watch your desires without immediately obeying them. Simply observe. At first, this observation may feel difficult because the mind has spent years operating automatically. A person becomes angry and instantly becomes the anger. Fear arises and instantly becomes the fear. Desire appears and instantly becomes the desire. There is no distance, no witnessing, no awareness, only reaction. But slowly, through observation, a gap begins emerging. You notice anger rather than becoming anger. You notice fear rather than becoming fear. You notice thought rather than becoming thought. And beloved ones, within that small gap lies the beginning of all transformation. The mind constantly seeks methods because methods promise control. But consciousness grows not through control but through understanding. This is one of the most important truths you can ever understand. Humanity has been taught to fight itself continuously. Control your thoughts, control your emotions, control your desires, control your impulses, control your nature. And because of this conditioning, people become divided inwardly. One part of the mind attacks another part. One thought judges another thought. One desire condemns another desire. The whole inner world becomes a battlefield. But beloved ones, conflict never creates consciousness. Conflict creates exhaustion. Awareness creates consciousness. The moment you stop fighting yourself and begin understanding yourself, energy that was previously wasted on inner warfare becomes available for awakening. Look at a small child. The child possesses a certain aliveness that most adults have lost. The eyes are fresh. The perception is immediate. The experience of existence is direct. Why? Because the child has not yet become completely trapped inside psychological time. The child lives closer to the present moment. But society slowly trains the child away from this natural consciousness. It teaches comparison, competition, ambition, anxiety about the future, regret about the past. Gradually, the spontaneous awareness becomes buried beneath layers of conditioning. Increasing consciousness is not becoming something new. It is recovering what was lost. It is remembering the simplicity that existed before the mind became overcrowded with unnecessary noise. Beloved ones, if you truly wish to become more conscious, begin paying attention to ordinary moments. This may surprise you because people imagine consciousness grows through extraordinary experiences. They seek mystical visions, altered states, dramatic revelations. But awareness grows in the simplest places. While drinking tea, be fully present with drinking tea. While walking, be completely present with walking. While breathing, become aware of breathing. While listening, truly listen. The mind constantly searches for something more important than the present moment, because the ego survives through dissatisfaction. It says, "This moment is not enough. The next moment will be better." and thus life disappears into endless postponement. Consciousness increases when you stop postponing your life and begin inhabiting it. Modern humanity lives in continuous distraction. Never before has so much information been available, and never before have people been so disconnected from themselves. They are surrounded by noise every waking hour. Screens, messages, notifications, opinions, arguments, advertisements, entertainment. The nervous system never rests. The mind never becomes quiet enough to hear its own depth. Therefore, one of the most powerful things you can do is spend time in silence. Not forced silence, not disciplined silence, simply silence. Sit quietly without trying to accomplish anything. Observe, listen, feel. At first, restlessness may appear. The mind will demand stimulation. It will tell you that you are wasting time. It will invent problems to think about. It will create endless distractions. But remain patient. Beneath the restlessness lies something beautiful. Beneath the noise lies stillness. Beneath the mental activity lies awareness itself. Beloved ones, if you remain patient within that silence, if you resist the temptation to escape immediately back into distraction, something remarkable begins revealing itself. Something that has always been present, yet rarely noticed, because the mind is so accustomed to movement that it mistakes movement for life itself. And therefore, whenever stillness appears, the mind becomes suspicious, uncomfortable, even frightened, as if silence were some kind of emptiness threatening its existence. But the truth is exactly the opposite. Because what the mind fears as emptiness is often the beginning of fullness. What it fears as nothingness is often the doorway toward everything real. And this is why so few people ever discover deeper consciousness, because they abandon the journey precisely at the point where transformation is about to begin. The moment boredom arises, they run. The moment restlessness appears, they distract themselves. The moment silence deepens, they fill it with noise. Yet, beloved ones, every awakened being who has ever lived passed through this same doorway. Every mystic, every sage, every meditator eventually discovered that beneath the surface agitation of the mind, there exists another dimension of being entirely. A dimension untouched by psychological turmoil, untouched by social conditioning, untouched by the endless demands of the ego. The ego survives through constant occupation, because occupation prevents observation. Have you noticed how difficult it is to simply sit and do nothing. Not because doing nothing is difficult, but because the mind immediately begins manufacturing activity. It remembers unfinished conversations. It imagines future scenarios. It worries about problems. It creates plans. It replays regrets. It invents concerns. The mind is endlessly productive in its attempt to avoid the present moment, because the present moment contains a danger from the perspective of the ego. In the present moment, the ego weakens. In the present moment, psychological time begins dissolving. In the present moment, awareness becomes possible. The ego lives in yesterday and tomorrow. Awareness lives now. Therefore, increasing consciousness is not really a matter of adding something new to your life. It is a matter of removing the barriers preventing you from experiencing the life that is already here. Beloved ones, one of the strangest things about human beings is that they are continuously searching for themselves while simultaneously avoiding themselves. They seek meaning, fulfillment, purpose, truth, yet whenever an opportunity arises to encounter their own inner reality directly, they immediately turn away. Why? Because direct encounter destroys illusion. It removes comfortable stories. It exposes hidden fears. It reveals unconscious motivations. And although truth liberates, the first experience of truth is not always comfortable. Imagine entering a dark room that has remained closed for decades. The dust becomes visible only when light enters. Before the light arrived, the dust was already there, but it remained unseen. Awareness functions similarly. The moment consciousness begins increasing, you may temporarily become more aware of your confusion, your fear, your contradictions, your unconscious habits. Many people misunderstand this stage completely. They assume they are becoming less conscious because they are noticing more darkness. But beloved ones, the darkness was always there. The difference is that now you can see it. This is why observation must be free from judgment. The moment judgment enters, awareness weakens. Humanity has been taught to judge everything immediately. Good thought, bad thought. Spiritual desire, unspiritual desire. Acceptable emotion, unacceptable emotion. Worthy impulse, unworthy impulse. And because of this constant judgment, people rarely see themselves clearly. They see themselves through layers of interpretation. But consciousness grows only through direct perception. Imagine looking into a mirror that constantly comments on your appearance. You would never see your face clearly because commentary would interfere with observation. The mind does the same thing continuously. Instead of simply witnessing experience, it evaluates experience. Instead of observing anger, it condemns anger. Instead of understanding fear, it registers fear. Instead of exploring desire, it suppresses desire. And thus understanding never happens because awareness is replaced by a conflict. Beloved ones, consciousness is not moral. This statement may surprise many people because humanity has confused consciousness with morality for centuries. Consciousness is not a set of rules. It is not a system of commandments. It is not a collection of beliefs about right and wrong. Consciousness is seeing, pure seeing, clear seeing. And when seeing becomes clear enough, intelligent action arises naturally. A conscious person does not need endless rules because awareness itself becomes guidance. If you are fully conscious while speaking, your words naturally become more compassionate. If you are fully conscious while acting, your actions naturally become more responsible. If you are fully conscious while relating to others, sensitivity emerges without effort. Morality imposed from outside creates conformity. Awareness arising from within creates authenticity. Look carefully at your daily life, beloved ones. Most actions happen mechanically. You wake up mechanically, eat mechanically, speak mechanically, think mechanically, react mechanically. The same patterns repeat day after day, year after year, decade after decade. Humanity calls this living, but much of it is habit operating through memory. Consciousness begins increasing whenever habit becomes illuminated by observation. The moment you become aware of a pattern, the pattern starts losing its unconscious power. Not because you fight it, but because awareness itself transforms the relationship. An unconscious habit survives through invisibility. Once seen clearly, it begins weakening naturally. This is why awareness must enter ordinary life. Many people imagine consciousness belongs only to meditation cushions, temples, monasteries, spiritual retreats, sacred spaces. But beloved ones, if consciousness cannot exist in ordinary life, it is incomplete. Awareness must enter eating, walking, speaking, working, resting, loving, listening. Every moment becomes opportunity. Every interaction becomes meditation. Every challenge becomes a mirror. Life itself becomes the teacher. Then spirituality is no longer something separate from existence. it becomes a way of adjusting. Have you noticed how often people live through memory rather than direct experience? They meet someone but do not actually meet the person standing before them. They meet their memory of similar people. They listen through past conclusions. They see through previous judgments. They experience life through accumulated psychological residue. Consciousness means seeing freshly, seeing without the heavy burden of constant interpretation. This is why awareness brings vitality. Reality becomes alive again. Colors appear brighter. Sounds become clearer. Ordinary moments regain mystery. The mind becomes less occupied with categorizing existence and more available to experiencing it. Beloved ones, increasing consciousness also requires tremendous courage, because awareness destroys psychological comfort zones. The ego prefers certainty, even false certainty, because certainty creates a feeling of control. Awareness often reveals that many things you believed about yourself are incomplete or inaccurate. It may reveal hidden fears beneath confidence, hidden loneliness beneath social activity, hidden insecurity beneath ambition, hidden pain beneath success. The unconscious mind resists these revelations because they threaten familiar identity. Yet every illusion that falls away creates more space for truth. And slowly, as observation deepens, you begin noticing a profound distinction between awareness and content. Thoughts are content, emotions are content, sensations are content, memories are content, experiences are content. Awareness is the space in which all content appears. This distinction changes everything, because now identity begins shifting away from temporary movement toward the silent witness observing movement. A thought appears and disappears. Awareness remains. Fear appears and disappears. Awareness remains. Joy appears and disappears. Awareness remains. Even the personality itself changes continuously throughout life, yet awareness remains. The more deeply this is understood, the more stable consciousness becomes. Beloved ones, increasing consciousness is ultimately not a journey toward becoming extraordinary. It is a journey toward becoming real. Humanity wants extraordinary experiences because the ego desires significance. But awareness is interested in reality. It is interested in what is true right now. A conscious person may appear ordinary from the outside. He eats, sleeps, works, laughs, cries, loves. Yet, inwardly, everything is different because he is no longer living mechanically. He is present. He is available. He is awake. Then gradually, a remarkable transformation begins unfolding. The future loses some of its hypnotic power. The past loses some of its emotional weight. The present becomes richer. Simpler things become beautiful. A quiet morning, a conscious breath, a bird singing outside the window, sunlight moving across the floor, the sound of rain at night. Things previously overlooked become sources of wonder, because awareness itself brings depth to existence. And beloved ones, this is perhaps the greatest secret of all. Consciousness cannot truly be increased because consciousness itself is already complete. What increases is your capacity to remain conscious. What increases is your willingness to stop escaping. What increases is your ability to stay present. The sky does not become larger when clouds disappear. It only becomes more visible. In the same way, awareness does not become greater. The obstacles hiding awareness become weaker. Then one day you suddenly realize that the search itself has changed. You are no longer chasing consciousness as a future achievement. You are living it moment by moment. You are observing, listening, feeling, being. And within that simple presence, there is a peace that cannot be manufactured, a stillness that cannot be forced, a freedom that cannot be purchased, because it does not come from acquiring something new. It comes from finally recognizing what has always been here. Then consciousness is no longer a goal. It becomes your way of seeing, your way of breathing, your way of walking through existence. And in that seeing, beloved ones, life reveals a depth that the distracted mind could never imagine. Because the conscious person discovers that reality was never lacking beauty, meaning, or wonder. Only awareness was missing. And once awareness returns, existence begins shining from within. Beloved ones, another essential key to increasing consciousness is becoming aware of mechanical behavior. Because one of the most shocking discoveries a human being can make is realizing how little of his life is actually lived consciously. Humanity imagines itself awake because people can think, speak, make plans, solve problems, and perform complex activities. But consciousness is not measured by activity. A machine can perform activity. A computer can process information. A habit can repeat itself for decades without awareness ever entering the process. The real question is not whether you are functioning. The real question is whether you are present while functioning. And if you begin observing carefully, you will discover that much of life unfolds automatically. The same thoughts appear every morning, the same worries return, the same emotional reactions arise in the same situations, the same fears repeat themselves in different forms, the same patterns create the same suffering again and again. Humanity moves in circles while imagining it is moving forward. People change jobs, relationships, cities, identities, philosophies, even religions. Yet inwardly, the same unconscious mechanisms continue operating. The scenery changes, but the dream remains the same. Consciousness begins increasing the moment you become capable of seeing repetition while it is happening. This simple seeing contains tremendous power, because what is seen clearly can no longer operate with the same unconscious authority. Watch how quickly the mind reacts when something unexpected occurs. Someone criticizes you and anger appears instantly. Someone praises you and pride appears instantly. Someone ignores you and hurt appears instantly. Someone admires you and pleasure appears instantly. Beloved ones, where is freedom in this? If every external event automatically determines your inner state, then life is controlling you continuously. You are living as effect rather than awareness. Consciousness grows whenever you interrupt this automatic movement, not by suppressing reaction, not by pretending emotions do not exist, but by creating a small space between stimulus and response, a pause, a moment of witnessing, a breath of awareness. In that pause, you begin seeing the machinery of conditioning. You begin noticing that anger is not simply happening now. It is connected to years of accumulated memory. Fear is not simply happening now. It is connected to old wounds, old beliefs, old identifications. The present moment becomes filled with ghosts from the past. And the more clearly you observe this process, the less mechanical your life becomes. Awareness enters where habit once ruled. Beloved ones, one of the greatest obstacles to consciousness is identification. Identification is perhaps the central hypnosis under which humanity suffers. Identification means becoming so absorbed in a passing experience that you forget the awareness witnessing the experience. A cloud passes through the sky, and suddenly you believe you are the cloud. Anger appears and you say, I am angry. Sadness appears and you say, I am sadness. Success arrives and you say, I am successful. failure arrives and you say, I am worthless. But none of these things remain. They come and they go. They arrive and they disappear. They are visitors moving through consciousness. Yet humanity builds identity around visitors and then wonders why life feels unstable. Beloved ones, if your identity depends upon things that change, suffering becomes inevitable, because everything changing eventually changes again. Consciousness begins expanding when you recognize that thoughts are not you, emotions are not you, roles are not you, stories are not you. These things may be part of your experience, but they are not the deepest center of your being. Have you ever sat quietly and watched the mind for even a few minutes? If you do so honestly, you will notice something extraordinary. Thoughts appear by themselves. One thought arrives, then another, then another. You do not manufacture them consciously. You do not decide their exit timing. They emerge from hidden layers of conditioning, memory, and association. Yet, because humanity has become identified with thinking, people assume every thought represents truth. A fearful thought appears and immediately they believe it. A judgmental thought appears and immediately they obey it. A negative thought appears and immediately their mood changes. The conscious person begins questioning this automatic loyalty to thought. He observes rather than obeys. He listens without becoming enslaved. And through this observation, a remarkable discovery occurs. Thoughts are movements within awareness, but awareness itself remains untouched. Clouds move through the sky, yet the sky remains. Waves move across the ocean, yet the ocean remains. Thoughts move through consciousness, yet awareness remains. This realization is not philosophy, it is direct experience. And once experienced, it begins changing everything. Meditation becomes important here, not as another goal for achievement, but as a space for remembering what has been forgotten. Humanity has become addicted to doing. Every moment must be productive. Every activity must have purpose. Every effort must generate results. Even spirituality becomes contaminated by this mentality. People meditate to become enlightened. They breathe consciously to become peaceful. They observe themselves to become better versions of themselves. The ego secretly transforms every practice into ambition. But meditation is not another form of becoming. Meditation is a return to being. It is the art of sitting without agenda, watching without interference, remaining available to existence without demanding that it becomes something else. This sounds simple because it is simple, yet the mind finds simplicity difficult because simplicity offers no reward to ambition. The ego wants progress. Awareness wants presence. The ego wants achievement. Awareness wants seeing. Beloved ones, consciousness also increases through honesty, and not the honesty society usually talks about, but a deeper honesty directed inwards. Humanity survives through stories. People create narratives about who they are, why they suffer, why others behave as they do, what they deserve, what they fear, what they love. These stories become psychological prisons because eventually they are mistaken for reality itself. The conscious person becomes interested in seeing beyond narrative. He begins asking uncomfortable questions. Is this really true? Or is it merely a story I have repeated so often that it feels true? Is this anger genuinely about the present moment, or is it carrying old pain from the past? Is this desire authentic, or has society planted it within me? Is this ambition arising from intelligence or from insecurity? Such honesty requires courage because illusions are comfortable. Illusions protect identity. Illusions preserve familiarity. Truth often dissolves both. Yet every illusion abandoned releases energy. Every falsehood seen clearly creates more space for consciousness. Beloved ones, love also plays a profound role in awakening. Though not the love humanity usually confuses with attachment. Most people call attachment love. They call need love. They call possession love. They call dependence love. But these things arise primarily from fear. Real love emerges from awareness. Real love appears when consciousness becomes spacious enough to allow another person freedom. The ego wants ownership because ownership creates security. Awareness wants connection because connection reflects truth. The more conscious you become, the less separate life appears. Trees no longer feel entirely separate from you. Animals no longer feel entirely separate. Other human beings no longer feel like distant strangers. You begin sensing the same life moving through countless forms. Compassion arises naturally, not because morality commands it, but because awareness reveals interconnectedness. When separation weakens, kindness becomes effortless. Modern humanity suffers from an epidemic of distraction. People have become surrounded by stimulation from the moment they wake until the moment they sleep. Noise fills every gap. Screens fill every silence. Information fills every empty moment. And because of this constant stimulation, people lose contact with the subtle dimensions of consciousness. The soul speaks quietly. Awareness whispers. Presence reveals itself gently. But noise is loud, and therefore humanity hears noise while missing the deeper music beneath it. If you wish to increase consciousness, learn to spend time without stimulation. Sit beneath a tree, watch a sunset, walk without headphones, drink tea without multitasking, listen to rain without reaching for distraction. At first this may feel strange because the mind has become addicted to activity, but slowly another dimension begins revealing itself. Ordinary moments become luminous. Small experiences become rich. Existence itself begins feeling alive again. And beloved ones, perhaps the most important quality of all is patience. Humanity approaches consciousness with the same impatience it brings to business, achievement, and ambition. People want quick transformation. They want guaranteed results. They want enlightenment scheduled conveniently between appointments. But awareness unfolds organically. A flower blooms according to its own timing. A tree grows according to its own rhythm. The sun rises without hurry. Existence itself is patient. Only the ego is impatient. Because the ego survives through future-oriented desire. Consciousness grows quietly, almost invisibly, day after day, breath after breath, observation after observation. There may be moments when you feel tremendous clarity and moments when confusion returns. Do not become attached to either. Watch both. Clarity comes and goes. Confusion comes and goes. Awareness remains. And one day, beloved ones, something remarkable begins happening. Not dramatically, not with fireworks, not with heavenly voices, simply and quietly. You notice that thoughts no longer dominate as completely as before. Emotions arise but move through more easily. Fear appears yet does not possess you entirely. Anger visits but cannot remain for long. There is more space inside, more silence, more ease, more trust. Life continues exactly as before outwardly, yet inwardly everything feels different. Because now there is awareness where once there was only reaction. Presence where once there was only habit. Observation where once there was only identification. Then gradually you begin understanding a truth that cannot be borrowed from books, philosophies, teachers, or traditions. Consciousness was never absent. It was never hidden in some distant spiritual realm. It was never waiting at the end of a difficult journey. It was here all along. Only attention was elsewhere. Only awareness was distracted. Only identification created forgetfulness. The entire spiritual journey becomes a process of remembering rather than acquiring. Then increasing consciousness no longer feels like climbing toward a distant goal. It feels like awakening from a dream, awakening from automated living, awakening from compulsive thinking, awakening from unnecessary suffering, awakening from the endless pursuit of becoming someone other than yourself. And as this awakening deepens, beloved ones, life itself becomes meditation. Walking becomes meditation because awareness walks with you. Breathing becomes meditation because awareness breathes with you. Listening becomes meditation because awareness listens through you. Loving becomes meditation because awareness opens through you. Working becomes meditation because awareness remains present. Resting becomes meditation because awareness remains awake even in stillness. Then the question, how do I increase consciousness, begins disappearing naturally because consciousness is no longer something you are trying to achieve. It becomes the atmosphere in which you live, moment by moment, breath by breath, observation by observation. Awareness becomes less like an activity and more like a way of being. And within that way of being, there is a peace beyond achievement, a freedom beyond control, and a silence deeper than thought itself. Then perhaps for the first time, you are no longer merely moving through life unconsciously. You are awake within it. You are participating rather than sleepwalking. You are witnessing rather than reacting. And in that awakening, beloved ones, consciousness returns to its own source, and the ordinary miracle of existence reveals itself exactly where it has always been, here, now, waiting patiently for you to see it.